it now. Yeah. Hey guys, Ebanie Bridges here, the Blonde Bomber. Just a big shout out to my British fans. You know how much I love you guys. I appreciate you. Keep supporting me. Keep on the journey with me. I've got some exciting stuff coming along, and I can't wait to share it with everyone.
Hey, everybody, great to see you. And really, what a time to catch up. What an exciting time to catch up on, because we last spoke in April this year, just before the Shannon Courtenay fight, and I think your world changed significantly. So let's just come right back to where we were. We were talking about going into the fight. You were really keen on that fight. You really thought you could win that fight. You know, you were really hyped to get that opportunity that you'd worked so hard for. Amazing fight, incredible fight. You know, you lost it on the scorecards. You know, I thought it was very, very close. At what point did you think this has all changed? Did you know when you went back to the dressing room? Because it must have been disappointing not to get that decision. You went back to the dressing room. Obviously, that's a bit of a crushing blow. But at what point did you start to think, hold on, I've kind of won here. I've arrived. I've made my mark. I've changed everybody's perceptions about me. You know, this is the start of something big. When did that happen?
Probably that evening, and then more so just the days following, because obviously the fight, like, I was upset, you know, that I didn't win. I thought I won the fight. Like, I mean, I thought I did enough. When I heard the scorecards, I was like, "You're kidding me?" Like, you know, but I'm not really a sore loser, and I'm not one of those, you know, I'm not like that kind of person that makes a big fuss. So I was a bit disappointed. But I was just so happy with my performance, you know, because like I said, I did my best. Like, you know, I had one eye. Like, I mean, it wasn't much more that I could do. So because I knew that I really couldn't do much more personally, I was like, well, you know, I'm happy with that. And then, of course, at first I was a little bit like, oh no, I've lost. Like, you know what boxing fans are like they're fickle. Like, and I thought, like, you know, how are they going to see it? And then when I started seeing the reception online and stuff, and just everyone's feedback, and yeah, I mean, just kept growing, didn't it? And so yeah, then I realized, and then when I went around like to the UK, and I got such a good reception, just like when I was visiting the, like, you know, the towns and the communities, it was just so you know, just to see that, you know, people were so loving towards me, and just recognize, like, I'm just walking down the street and people were like just coming up to me like, oh, great fight in the weekend, and that was just like really surreal for me, because I didn't have that in Australia. So, you know, to be you know, obviously recognized, and then being congratulated and showing appreciation, I suppose, that was really surreal. But it also just made me think, wow, I've really made an impact here. Like, I've really made an impact on, like, you know, obviously boxing and the community. And I think for women's boxing as well, the inboxes that I was getting was just, it was so much of like, I've never watched women's boxing before, but I tuned in and watched you, and, you know, I never used to like women's boxing, but now I do after, you know, the build up and the fight, like, you know, such a great fight, and, you know, just all these kind of messages, you know, which for me was like what I kind of intended to do, to try and prove that, you know, or one, that I can fight and that I'm not just, you know, a lingerie model, and two, that women can fight. You know, I wanted to get more eyes on this, on the sport. I wanted to get more eyes on that fight, and that's why I went around it. You mean, I was still myself, but I still, you know, pushed it a little bit. I could have been quiet, but I wanted to push it a bit, because I know how boxing works, and I know, you know, building stories is it gets people to tune in. And I think for me, I think that was for me, like, I was like, yes, like I kind of did what I aimed to do. I might not have won, but I still was successful in what I wanted to do.
Well, in a way, it's the perfect riposte to your critics, because, you know, the popular refrain, like we talked about on the forums, was she can't fight, and, you know, she's not tough. She's not going to be tough looking like that, which is a strange thing. And those two things you couldn't have answered more emphatically. You know, I can fight and I am tough. So, you know,
exactly.
So
yeah, and you know, that's
a great example of that.
Sorry to cut you in.
sorry. And so at what point after that fight, I mean, looking at the intricacies of it, obviously, you know, you came over, that was, you know, your first fight in the UK, you got that big opportunity against Shannon Courtenay. The scorecards went against you. And did Matchroom then turn around? Because obviously you were then embraced not only by the fans, you were embraced by Matchroom, you know, with your subsequent two fights. I mean, how did that conversation with Eddie go after that fight? Because normally, you know, if they brought you in to fight their fighter and you don't get the decision, it would be, you know, thanks very much and off you go. But obviously Matchroom immediately embraced you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they would have been stupid not to, I think. You know, like, you know, you don't want to really let the blonde bomber go away, like, you know, like, and I think they've seen that, and I think they knew that in the build up as well. And I think Eddie just needed to affirm that I was was what I said I was, you know, because like everyone, he hadn't seen as much. But, you know, if I was, you know, the fighter that I said I was, which I was, plus more, I think he already knew that it was a no given, really. And then from there, yeah, I mean, look, it just went into, like, we had a rematch in negotiation, and it was already part of the contract. Not a rematch, sorry. It was a fight afterwards if I had lost, because I got the fight on such short notice. It was like, well, you know, short notice, if I lose, or, you know, we want to kind of comeback fight. So we had that. And then obviously on top of that fight, we have done a deal with, you know, another multiple fight contract. So, yeah. So, you know, I've got quite a few fights with Matchroom, which is, you know, obviously what I wanted. And I think that me and Matchroom together is a great partnership.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that took you. The next fight was the Bet Connolly fight in August. You know, at Matchroom's headquarters in Brentwood, which you kind of won fairly easily. That just seemed to be a bit of a run out for you. You know, get back in, and then they set you up with a harder fight 4 weeks later at the Ellen Road, on the Warrington Laura undercard. Now that was a much harder proposition. Gangloff there. And you know, that was your first fight in England with crowds, and you seem to embrace Leeds, and Leeds really seemed to embrace you. That was amazing to see. So how did that all gel, and how did that feel coming out to those?
Unreal. Like, you know, as we know, like, obviously I have a strong affiliation with Leeds, you know, and I do have a huge Leeds fan base, so it was a given to get me on that card. To be honest, that was always the original plan. We knew that there was a Leeds card. But I didn't want to stay overseas for 7 months and just have 2 fights. So I was like, you know, get me another fight, you know. So that's where we did the Bet Connolly fight, was kind of like a fight in between, if that makes sense. So yeah, I mean, for me, the Leeds fight was just everything that I dreamed of. You know, especially at this point in my career, it was something that, you know, I've always wanted to do, was fight in Leeds. You know, I always said I want to fight Ellen Road, but hey, next best thing. I still had my you know, my people there. And to be on a card with, you know, Josh Warrington, amazing, you know, obviously Katie Taylor, these things are all like ticks for me. It was pretty amazing. And Gangloff, we only knew that we were going to fight Gangloff like a week out. Like, you know, we had so much time to prepare, like, to get an opponent for that fight. And you know, it was hard to get an opponent, especially after the Beck fight. Like, it was hard, you know. And it was such a short notice, you know, the 4 weeks, and it was like we had a few opponents. We knew Gangloff was going to be tough, you know, very, very tough. And you know, she fought a bit different to how we obviously expected, you know, because in her fight previously, she was like, just come forward and plow forward. But this time she wasn't really coming forward. So it was, even though I kind of prepared for her, I had to obviously change my style, you know, but my plan as well with her. And then obviously I shattered my hand in the second round. So again, fighting through injury again, which just got worse and worse as the fight went on. But it was a great fight for me. That's a fight I'd love to do again, because I'd love to fight her with one hand and just prove that I can fight very decisively. You know, I know there was a bit of controversy with that fight, but I've watched that fight so many times. I'm like, I can't see how people are giving her more than like 2-3 rounds personally, you know. So, and I'd love to fight her again. She's a cool, you know, I respect her a lot as a fighter. So that's something that, you know, I'd look to in the future as well. Obviously the Shannon Courtenay fight, you know, there's so many things for me now. Like, the world's my oyster, really, you know. And I think just with that particular fight with the crowds, I was like the first one on, and there was still so many people there. I just imagine me moving up a little bit, you know, a little bit closer to the main event, it would be packed out as well. And I'm so excited for that, you know. But yeah.
I mean, talking of future plans, how did Shannon losing the title, you know, a couple of weeks ago, how did that affect your plans? Because she was obviously, you know, your number 1 target, I'd say, for that rematch, and you've been vocal about that. Did that change your perception, or, you know, what do you think?
Not really. You know what that did? Obviously I laughed. When she lost the belt on the scales, I was like, you're fucking kidding. Sorry. I was like, you're kidding me. Like, sorry. I was like, you're kidding me. Like, it's her first title defense, and that's happened. Like, I know, I get it happens, but I mean, like, it's like, I don't know, like, I was just shocked. Obviously I was offline, so I didn't have much to say at the time, but yeah, she wasn't really giving me any hints, or she wasn't really giving me. She pretty much said that she wasn't going to give me a rematch. So I kind of let go of the Shannon Courtenay fight quite a while ago. And I even said on a few interviews, and I said to people and online, I said, there's going to be a day when Shannon Courtenay is going to need me, and she's going to come knocking on my door and begging to fight me. You know what I mean? So I kind of gave up on fighting Shannon Courtenay because I have other things to do. There's plenty of other champions. As much as I'd love to fight Shannon for the fans, because it's a great fight for the fans. It's a fight for, like, globally, like, that's going to bring a lot of attention. One of the biggest fights in women's boxing, I believe, but, the fact that she said to me, don't have a belt. So, there's no point in me fighting you. Well, now she doesn't have a belt. So, it's like, okay, well, now she doesn't have a belt, and, she doesn't really have many fans. So, I mean, she's going to need me, so I think, and I'm happy to fight her without a belt. I would love to have a belt, obviously, but I'm happy to fight her without a belt just because I like to give the fans a fight. But I'm happy to get a fight. I'd love to fight Jamie Mitchell. I think that'd be a great fight for me. And if I can get that belt, then she's going to be knocking on my door wanting to fight me for the belt. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
It kind of looked like a while there was going to be a Rachel Ball, Ebanie Bridges, Shannon Courtenay, sort of tussle to find out. Is Rachel Ball still on your radar?
Oh, yeah. You know what? I just know that Rachel's had a lot to deal with this year. And of course, if she's interested in that fight, it can happen. I'd love to fight Rachel. But obviously she's, quiet and probably watching from a distance. But if it ever came up, I'm sure she would take the fight, and I would too. It would definitely be a potential fight. There's quite a few big names, or not big names, but a few names there that people want to see me fight, and I'm happy to fight anyone. But I really want a belt, because I've just spent, how many, years grafting, and I was just overseas, and I came home without a belt. And I wanted to come home with a belt. That last fight, I was hoping to get a belt. I was hoping to get some kind of title. It was talked about, and I was expecting it, but it didn't happen. So I was a bit, I want to say upset. I was a bit like, that sucks. So now I'm like, the next fight, I'm fighting for a belt, God willing, a world title belt. But if not, I need a belt to get into, I'm in the IBF rankings. I'm in the, the WBA rankings. I think I'm in WBC, so I can work towards those belts as well.
I mean, on that WBC subject, I don't know if this fighter was on your radar at all, but there's another British fighter, Carly Skelly, who just on Saturday won the WBC international title. Is she someone you'd consider fighting up at super bantamweight?
I really don't like super bantam. It's not my weight. I'm a bantamweight. I mean, I would fight her if she had a world title belt. I mean, I'd be happy, but it's for me, that's an international belt. I want a world title belt. And if I was going to go for WBC, I'd rather go in the bantamweight, than fighting Skelly. It's a messy fight. I can just see myself getting cut and headbutted heaps with that fight. You know what I mean? It's pretty rough. I just think there's other people that I'd rather fight. I think, but whatever.
Yeah.
I'm cool, Yeah, I've seen Ellie Scottney call me out. She wants to come down to Bantam. Okay, I just like I said, I just want to get some belts and have the fights the fans want.
And we've gone through how the impact you made in the UK, and how that journey was when you were over here for those 7 months with those 3 fights. Now you've gone back to Sydney. How was your reception back in Sydney? And is life different there? Are you getting recognised in the street there?
Yeah, I am actually. Which I didn't really expect. I mean, because Australia's not big on boxing, and it's such a big country. It's not like in the UK, just walk out and like everyone. There's so many people everywhere, and the boxing's so popular. But yeah, pretty much as soon as I touched down, when I arrived at the airport, the police all recognized me. They're like, "Oh, the bomber's here," and I was like, "Oh, I wasn't expecting it at all." And yeah, like when I go out, like I was out on a weekend, some people come up to me and they'll recognize me. And I've just done, the SAS Australia, the celebrity SAS. So that's pretty big here. So that's getting me recognized as well. So, yeah,
now,
I mean,
so you've done it. I see you've been selected for SAS Australia 2022. Do you mean you've done the filming, or you've got to go and do the filming?
The filming's done.
Right.
With a broken hand. I had to push, but yeah, no, it was done. It was a great experience, and as far as I know, what's it called? The viewing or whatever. It's available. It's going to be watched. It's going to be on air. That's the one. It's going to be on air in February.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was exciting. But yeah, always can't talk about it. But yeah, it was great, and I'm excited for that. So yeah.
And with Matchroom promoting you, do you think your next fight's going to be in the UK, or I mean, you know, North America? What do you think? Because they're very active.
Yeah, I think the UK. I mean, you know, obviously I love the UK. I've got big fans in there, but I'm happy to fight in America and in North America because I have a bit of a name there too, but I could build my name over there. For example, if the Jamie Mitchell fight ever happened, you know, that could be, she's American, it could be a good fight there. You know, I could do my camps in Philadelphia and just fight there instead of traveling. I feel like if I want to fight in the UK again, I do want to try and sort my campus out in the UK because it's just so much travel that I'm doing Australia to the US to the UK. It's just like, you know, I need to kind of get settled a little bit in one place. But yeah, it's all things to think about depending on the fights.
Yeah, because you've had your camps in Philadelphia previously. So where would do you think you'd have your camps in the UK now? Is there any particular trainer you gravitate towards, or would you bring your trainers over?
I'd really, you know what, I really enjoyed my training with Mark Tibbs. I think that, you know, he's such a recognized and such a, you know, I think a prestigious trainer. I wouldn't mind. Yeah, very respected, and then, you know, he's got some you know, obviously a great stable there, great gym there. I think the area is good for me as well for like just sparring and being amongst it. Don't get me wrong, I loved Wales, loved training with Enzo, Mac, and that was great. But it, you know, I just feel like I feel like down there would be probably more ideal for me. But these are all just, you know, floating ideas at the moment because I do have Brian and Kaylee Rees in America, and we'd have to discuss it because they are obviously my trainers at the moment and also my managers, so they'll, you know, think of what's best for me depending on the fight and the situation.
And when do you feel you'll be back? When do you feel you'll be out next?
I'm hoping February. You know, I'd love to be. I think that's enough time. I've just started training this week. Well, not hitting with my hand, but just getting back into training because I've had some time off. And I'm aiming for February as long as my hand's good. I think that'd be enough time. So yeah, February, March. I don't think I could do earlier than that, but I also don't want to do later than that because, you know, I just want to get back in there doing what I love.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, look, it's great to catch up with you, Ebanie. Ebanie Bridges, superstar. we can say that now. We can say that now. Say it, you know. So,
you know, it's growing.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely fantastic to catch up with you. Really exciting plans. Obviously, been an amazing journey over the last few months, and you know, long may it continue. I think it's really taken off now, and it's going to be great to see where you go from here. But thanks ever so much.
I really appreciate it. No, I appreciate it, guys, and I really appreciate you guys. Seconds Out, you know, always been doing interviews with me, and you know, believing in me from the start and giving me your time to help me build my profile on your platform, and I do appreciate that. And I'm looking forward to the next part of my journey and you know, growing and doing what I do and what I love.